Good afternoon, and welcome to Inclusive Academic and Behavior Strategies for the Diverse Learners. My name is Nicoletta Lean, and I'll be your facilitator for today. Please look to your right in our chat feature, and you will find our attendance, additional resources, and our Padlet link that goes with today's session. We encourage you to participate during the entire duration. Let's go over some of our session norms. Be an active participant. Please put any questions, concerns, or comments in the chat box. Have a fully charged laptop. Please find a quiet space, and please mute your microphone upon joining. Let's get to our outcomes. Participants will gain an understanding of inclusive practices and how to implement strategies within the general education classroom. Participants will also gain strategies to address the behavioral needs of students with disabilities to improve behavior. Let's take a moment to think. What comes to mind when you think of inclusive education? Go ahead and use the chat feature and write your response in the Padlet. I see responses rolling in. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Krista. No worries, Bobby. If you have no idea what inclusive education is, you will know by the end of today's session. Let's begin. What is inclusive education? The valuing of diversity within human community. When inclusive education is fully embraced, we abandon the idea that children have to become normal in order to contribute to the world. We begin to look beyond typical ways of becoming valued members of the community, and in doing so, begin to realize the achievable goal of providing all children with an authentic sense of belonging. Let's take a look at what are inclusive teaching strategies. These refer to any number of teaching approaches that address the needs of students with a variety of backgrounds, learning modalities, and abilities. Instructors cannot connect and engage with students without using a variety of strategies. We want to make sure that we're prepared for those hot moments that may arise when controversial material is discussed. Students need to feel connected with the course material that's relevant to them. They also need to feel comfortable in the classroom environment to voice their ideas or ask questions. Students are more likely to be successful through activities that support their learning, including those modalities, abilities, and backgrounds. So making school inclusive by implementing inclusive practices. All schools should promote inclusive practices in both teaching practices and educational activities. This teaching approach understands that no two pupils are the same and ensures that lessons and activities accommodate for this. Inclusive practices recognizes the differences between students and uses this to ensure that all students can access educational content and participate fully in their learning. When you as the teacher are promoting inclusive practices in your teaching practices, you will see them using a number of teaching approaches that addresses the strengths and weaknesses of our students. So let's take a look at our 3 different strategies. This ensures that inclusive instruction for diverse learners is being used. We have universal design for learning, differentiated instruction, and specially designed instruction. These 3 strategies will make sure that your classroom is welcoming for all of your students, and it ensures that they have access to the general education curriculum. So let's go into more detail of what is universal design for learning. So this is a representation, an action and an expression, and an engagement. So I'll give you a second to read the screen and process the information. As a teacher, we provide the information in more than one format. The action and expression gives your students more than one way to react or interact with the materials. The engagement provides multiple ways to motivate students. Just like adults, we have multiple ways of understanding the world around us. The same applies to the students in our classroom. So the purpose of differentiation. Differentiation is the process of tailoring lessons to meet each student's individual interests, needs, and strengths. We differentiate in areas of content, process, and the product. An additional handout with resources on differentiation, including content specifics, has also been dropped in the chat for you. Now let's take a look at our specially designed instruction. Specially designed instruction is what makes education special. This instruction is provided to students with a disability who has an IEP and the committee has determined that SDI is the need. When we incorporate SDI into our classrooms, we want to make sure that we are including accommodations, modifications, and related services, such as speech. This instruction is provided to students and it's unique. It exists because of the student's disability, and we're going to go above and beyond differentiated instruction to address those needs. Now, how can we address needs of those students if we do not build rapport? Relationships matter. No significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. Let's take a second to look at a video by Rita Pearson. This is a significant relationship with students, and it's the foundation for all other interventions. Thank you all for taking the time to look at that video. Make sure that you have in your mind the framework that you're going to make sure that you build a relationship with your students so that you can make sure you can incorporate all of those teaching strategies. So what are some ways you've built relationships with your students? Turn and talk at your table about ways you have built relationships with your students for the next 2 minutes. We'll also check out this great video about how this teacher uses incredible handshakes to build rapport. Awesome. You want to make sure that you set a clear expectation for your behavior. And it's all about your professionalism. You have a request and you have a demand. You want to make sure that you know the difference between the two. You, as the professional, have to know not to be vague and not to demand. Instructions that are vague leave room for misunderstandings and confusion. Make sure your expectations are positively stated, clear, and direct. Pair this with a visual to add clarity for your students. Remember, we all learn in different ways. So let's go over some key takeaways from today's lesson. It is our role to learn and teach acceptance. Ensuring inclusive instruction for diverse learners by providing UDL, differentiating instruction, and SDI. There is no my in students or your students. Inclusive Practices understands that no two pupils are the same and ensures that lessons and activities accommodate our students. There is no I or you. Collaboration needs to be in action. Go ahead and grab that Padlet and write out your takeaway for today's exit ticket to show what you are retaining from today's lesson. As always, thank you, and my contact information is below. Thank you for participating in today's session, and the link to the participation is in your chat. Thank you.